Hi, Donna.
Hi. What can I do to help?
Okay, Josh just turned us on live, so let's see. Okay.
I don't see anything on the YouTube live.
I just did a refresh and there we go. Hi, everybody. Okay.
And you said there was a 30-second delay?
Yeah, there's about a 30-second delay.
I don't see anything on the YouTube live. Great.
I just did a refresh and I had a mute on the other side. Well, everyone can hear us troubleshooting and getting ready for this big day. Okay, ready?
Yep.
All right. I'm gonna add this bug to the Koha sandbox. So for our listeners out there, welcome. Today, what we're going to do is the Koha educators and some of our dev team members are going to jump on, and we are going to go through a list of bugs that we've saved from the community and work on signing those off. We'll be open to answering any type of questions that you have. If you're stuck, if you have questions with the sandbox, or even if you're just in there looking at bugs and you have a question about what the voting feature means, or if you see a dependency or a block in there, we'd be happy to answer any of those questions that you have throughout the day. So let's get started. I'm going to come into the Koha sandboxes that Bywater hosts, and if our listeners are out there, it's sb1.sandboxes.bywatersolutions.com. I'll throw that in the chat box. And we'll start by hitting that create button. So this will walk you through creating a sandbox where it will apply the patch that you're working on. So I'm going to start with my name. And my email address, my sandbox name, I'm going to do add batch modify to list.
I don't think it can be that long.
Okay, so we'll do add batch mod 18127. I'm skipping the get remote and branch and description and notes and what was the world's first open source ILS.
I know.
Donna?
KOHA.
Okay, so now we have a provision pending for our bug here. And this will take, go ahead, Kelly.
You want to go to share that website that you can go to see the bugs that need to be signed off?
Yep. Okay, perfect. So we'll take a look at this one. So this one needs a sign off. We can see in the status, and we have our add batch modified records to an existing list. So this one has been in the community since 2017. And you can see Alicia provided a patch for this one. And then in February, she modified that patch. So we'll go through and we'll use the most current testing plan to go through and walk through this particular bug. We'll do a quick refresh over here. It's currently provisioning, so we'll do one more refresh until it's provisioned, and then we can start walking through the process. As we're waiting for that, we'll share a couple links with you that I think might be helpful. So this one is the Koha community dashboard, and this is a great place to go if you are looking for bugs that currently need sign off, things that need QA, new features that were recently pushed, or the last 5 sign offs. So this will always have some of the current information on. It's just dashboard.koha-community.org. We'll put that in that chat box over here. So if you're looking for bugs that you want to sign off for, this is a good place to start. And then maybe as we progress through the day, we can show you how to do that same type of search in Bugzilla. Okay, we are still provisioning. Hey, Kelly, go ahead. I saw you talking.
Nope.
No.
Nick recommended when we had that town hall on, no, I'm sorry, it was the Koha US webinar on sandboxes. He also said a great way to do it is to create a blank sandbox and to test the behavior prior to applying the patch. Some of these older bugs, since it's a couple years old, a lot of things change in Koha quite rapidly. And you may not even see the behavior anymore prior to going into the patch, or it may just throw another whole wrench in the work. It's fun.
That's a good suggestion.
And I'm sorry, I bumbled in a little bit late, but I don't know if you've already said this. It's also, I've gotten burned by making a sandbox, applying a patch, and then realizing too late in the process that the patch didn't actually apply. So it's always a good idea to, once you've put the patch on, check the Git log and make sure that the patch is listed there.
So Andrew, walk us through that. Can we do that in the Actions tab?
It's actually over under Logs at the other end of the line.
There we go.
And Koha Git. So the patch you're testing should be, or I should say, all whatever patches are on that bug, however many there are, they should all be listed first thing in this page once it comes up.
Okay. Hi, Owen.
Than this.
We have a viewer. Owen just logged in. Hi, Owen. Welcome.
Oh. Boy, yeah, that's being pokey.
We have a 30-second delay, Andrew.
On YouTube Live, so when we're talking, it's about 30 seconds behind what people are actually seeing on YouTube. So Owen's probably been hanging out for quite some time before he actually heard us say hi.
Is the delay so someone can like bleep out our profanity? You never know what we'll say.
Well, we do have Josh monitoring our YouTube channel for us. Thanks, Josh, for helping us out so we can stream live.
Thanks, Josh. We should have had, Donna, we should have had our partner from Duncanville just join us in Global Bug Squashing Day. We could have done the bug together, live.
Oh, you're right. I didn't even think about that.
I'm going to try one more time and see.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there.
Yeah.
Oh, you were saying pokey about this. I thought you meant pokey about the other thing. Sorry.
Well, it's just taking a little bit to log on, open up. I'm going to try jumping into the staff client and see if we can get in.
Mhm.
Okay, we're in. I'm going to pull over my steps in another window. So again, we're working on Bugzilla bug 18127, and this is for the availability to add batch modified records to an existing list. So we'll start with the most recent test plan that's here. And the first thing that Alicia mentioned is to start by having no zero lists in the system. So we'll just go in here and make sure there are no lists that are currently in here. We'll check our public lists. Okay, so no lists that are in here. So the next thing she wants us to do is go to the tools module and go to batch record modification and go through a batch record modification process, confirming everything works as normal. So yep, let's create a quick template. And we'll just call this batch modify. We'll add a 336 field. How about that? And we'll add an action and we'll say add new 336 A, and we'll give it a value of txt. Donna, I hope that was right. Okay, so now we'll go back to our tools. We'll go into our batch record modification. And we'll add in a few bibliographic records. Okay. Well,
Oh, little snap.
little snafu here. So we'll just do a reload and see.
Are we
where we got stuck.
fixing bugs or are we making bugs?
Yeah, we're gonna make them as well as squash them.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Well,
Or we're gonna do that, but you know, we'll break it and then we'll fix it and then we'll maybe fix something that will.
hey, we're doing this live, so we're gonna go through. You'll see just how real we are. We make the same lovely mistakes. We go through the same processes that you do, and we call for the same help from Kyle and Nick when we get stuck. Okay, well, I did a refresh and it looks like we're okay. It pulled in those 5 bibliographic records. So we'll try modifying those records and see if we get any odd error messages. Okay, we got a success that 5 of our bibliographic records have been modified. So we've completed step 1, 2, and 3. Going through and modifying the record. And one thing Alicia said here is confirm everything works as normal. And there's a link to do a new batch record modification at the end. And there's a link here that will take us back. Let's click on it and just make sure that works. Perfect. Okay, now she suggests in another tab, we're going to go to lists and create a new list. So we'll open up our list module, a new tab. We'll create a new list, and we'll call this camping.
I always feel very successful if I get the steps done right before the patch applies.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's.
I'm gonna say that means it. I like them making a really good test plan. This is a good test plan thus far.
Yeah. Okay, so now let's add some power tools to our camping list and maybe some CSS because we could do that on our camping trip. We'll add that to camping, hit save. Okay, and success. We should have a list. Perfect. We have 2 items there. Okay, so now we've finished step 4. Step 5, she wants us to go back to the first tab and start a new batch modification process. Okay, so here we are. We will enter some numbers again. This time we'll do 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. We'll select our template, hit continue, see if we get that same crazy black screen. No, we didn't. Look at that, success. And now we're going to modify the selected records. Okay, and she is saying now at the end of this process, there should be a new option to add modified records to an existing list.
It works.
It works. So there is our camping list. So we can, step 7 is select a list from the drop-down menu and confirm that you are able to save your modified records to the list as expected. Okay, there we go. Save. Start a new batch modification process, this time for authority records. Oh.
So prior to this, did this mean if you batch record modified, it removed it from a list? Or this is a whole, you'll make a whole nother list with these modified records?
It's just, I think this is just giving you the option to now add it to a list.
To another list.
To an existing list, yeah, in the system. Because when we first did it, we didn't have an option to add anything to a list until we added it in. This patch, yep, is based off a suggestion to allow a user to add records to a list after they've done a batch modification. Okay. This time we're going to do authorities. So start a new batch modification process. We'll select authorities. Select a list from the drop-down and confirm you're able to save those as expected. This time for authorities. Okay, we'll enter a list. Okay. Authorities always make me so nervous.
No,
Go ahead, Kelly.
it said enter bibliographic numbers or authority IDs.
So I just used authority ID 1, 2, and 3 just because we'll just use examples. I'm sure there's not a ton of authorities in here in the record, in the database. So step 8 was to start a new batch modification process for authority records. Step 9 says at the end, confirm there's no option to add modified records to a list because authorities cannot be added to a list. So once we select modify selected records, there is no option to add them to a list. So we made it through all 9 steps of the process. We didn't, everything worked as expected in here. So now we can jump over to the sandbox. And if we come over to the actions drop-down menu, we can select that sign off on patches. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, I just clicked to create a new sandbox on the same page, and it's being a little slow. We might have hit it with too many things at once.
Too many things at once. Or our viewers out there might be also trying to test.
Yeah, that'd be my suspicion.
Okay, I'm going to try one more time. We'll do a refresh. Oh yeah, Kyle, I pinged Kyle and he is working on trying to fix the get log stuff, so it might be a little slow for a second or two.
So Kelly, it looked like you had another bug queued up. Which one are you looking at?
It's not showing. 2480.
4480. Which one did you say, Kelly?
24480.
Fields added with mark modification. Templates are not added in any ordered way. Okay. We might be on a lull here. We can talk about a few other ways for people to search for bugs, maybe in Bugzilla while we wait for Sandbox to come back up. So when you're in the Bugzilla website, there's a couple different ways you can search. You can use the search box as a keyword search. You can search for a particular bug number that you may know. You can also use the search option here, which will give you a way to do a simple search or an advanced search. The advanced search is nice because you can look for more detailed information about a bug. So if you're looking for a particular version, you can come down and browse for it that way. You can search by individuals if you know their email or name. You can look for particular fields or change history for those bugs. And then there's also a custom search that allows you to search. So this is a good way, if you know specific things that you are looking for, you can drill down this way. And then of course, this is another way. We talked about using the Koha dashboard to see which bugs need sign off, but you can also use the advanced search to come down to status and do a needs sign off search that way as well. Okay, I'm going to come over and just look at Sandbox real quick to see if we have a update. Not yet. Okay, educators, what other tips can we give our viewers about looking for bugs in Bugzilla?
Not necessarily about looking for bugs, but for testing them.
Okay.
How badly can I break stuff if I do this?
Well, this is probably a pretty good example right now that when we were testing our logs and we were looking at our Koha get log and it did not load. If you're using the Bywater sandboxes, if you're on our Slack channel for our BWS partners, you can always just jump in there and let us know that it's either just spinning or you're getting an error message. And it's okay if things like this happen, and you can see it's happening to us right now. You can call us, you can send in a ticket if you're working on something. You know, that's the quickest way to let us know, because one of our dev team members can go in there, Kyle, and check things out and see what's going on.
And if what's going on here had been Jesse's fault, which I don't think it is, I don't think we broke this, but even then, we would have broken the Sandbox site, which is, you know, it's a nice tool, but it's not vital to anybody's life in the library. There is absolutely no way from here to break Koha.
Ooh, that sounds like a challenge.
And I know, like, I've talked to people who get nervous that like they don't feel like they're qualified to sign off on a bug. They're worried that if they sign off on something, that the patch from that bug might go break something else. And that's not really what signing off is about. Like, what we're doing here is just saying, I looked at this patch, it fixed the thing it was supposed to fix. It did the thing it was supposed to do. And then it goes into QA, where it's somebody else's job to make sure it doesn't break anything else. Like,
Right.
the fact that we sign off on a bug here does not mean that that code is in everybody's library like the next day. There's a lot of fail-safe there. And if you sign off on something that doesn't work right, somebody else will catch it. If you test a bug and you think the patch doesn't work, and so you say failed QA, it just goes back to the developer, who will look at it. And believe me, if they feel that their patch really did work and that you tested it wrong, they'll let you know. Nicely.
That's right.
They'll let you know nicely.
Yeah, they'll come back and say, hey, Andrew, I'm not seeing the issue you said you saw. Can you please test that again? And then if you're me, you'll go back and see that you were wrong, and you'll eat a little crow and it'll be fine.
And I know that was my concern when I first actually got into trying to do any sign-offs and things like that, was the pressure of, oh my gosh, I have to check 37 things that all touch this same process. And until I realized that, no, I don't, I just have to check this one specific thing to make sure it works.
Yep.
That made me feel a lot better. And honestly, it also made me feel a lot better to know that I wasn't going to melt a server down into a puddle of goo because I broke something.
And let's talk about how exciting it is. So after you have maybe your first or even second or third or 100th sign off, you're always included in those release notes. So like if you go to the 1911 release notes, you can go and actually see people who have signed off, people who have we're going to scroll all the way down to the bottom. People who have sponsored certain bugs, and it's amazing because this goes out to the whole community. So now you're a part of that particular release. So like if we get down to the release team, it'll talk about who the release manager were, the assistants, the QA team, the topic experts, the bug wranglers, and then if we keep scrolling down, you'll see the credits. Those will be folks that have sponsored particular enhancements or bug fixes in this release. And then you can also see individuals who contributed patches and people that have contributed, and then people who tested patches in Koha. So this gives a breakdown, and you can see everyone that's contributed back. So you can see librarians, vendors, and everybody in between. So this is a special part of it. How excited did you get when you saw your name there for the first time? Yes?
It
Yes.
was awesome.
It was awesome. Right? Totally awesome.
Especially for someone like me, who I'm the first to admit it, I am not necessarily a techie person that I can go on the backside and talk about the languages and how this all works and stuff like that. So I'm kind of living proof that if I can get through this and do this, anybody can do this. It's basically following instructions is what it comes down to, and we can all do this.
It looks like the sandboxes are happy again.
Okay, yay! Okay, so we'll do a refresh. I will sign off on this bug, and then I will pass the screen on to Kelly or Donna or Andrew if somebody wants to do theirs next.
I think Kelly volunteered.
I'm still not showing up, so.
I've got a real easy one. I was starting to make a sandbox for one that's going to take a little more setup, but I've got a simple one in the meantime.
You can go ahead
Let me
and
do that. This is bug 24475.
Okay, there we go. So we just got our message that we have signed off. I am going to stop my share and go ahead and let Andrew.
don't we have to do one more thing? Don't we need to put it in signed off? We got to set the status bug in the bug itself.
It's true, it's true. So the sandbox will put a note on the bug that says signed off by Jessica Zero, but it won't actually change the bug itself to signed off status. And you know,
So
if you
we'll-
forget this step, somebody else will come along and catch it, but good to do it.
Absolutely. So we hit that edit button, hit signed off, and we'll hit save changes. All right.
That's funny, Kelly, I do see your MarkMod sandbox.
Well, you can still go, Andrew.
Okay, here, let me share my screen. This one is, it's still provisioning, so we'll vamp a little bit. This is a bug I filed that is a real easy bug. Reword the finds mode system preference. And if I could encourage all the Koha users of the world to like focus on one type of bug, I know I run into a lot of things in Koha where the wording of something is not quite what I want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
And then one gets used to just sort of thinking, oh, I know that this doesn't quite do what it says, but I know how it works, so I'll just ignore the slightly misleading wording. Those are real easy fixes. And I've been trying like personally to get on the ball about filing those bugs and getting those things changed. But yeah, I suggested some wording, had a little conversation, and David wrote a quick patch that changed it. So, real easy. And it's still going. This is where I get impatient. And I just start refreshing the page over and over again. Doesn't really help. It makes me feel better.
What is everybody doing for Valentine's Day while we're waiting for this to reload?
Nothing. No, that's
Neither.
not true. We're doing something, but not until after I get back from a trip to Texas next week. Okay, while this does what it's doing, I'm going to make a second one. I can have it ready to go for another bug.
There's a question in the YouTube chat question from somebody that if a bug has been active for a while, what is the best way to bring attention back to it? And I would say add a comment that it's still relevant to your life. Make a comment, state your case, vote on it. And I think we talked about voting. And we can show that again, or Andrew can while he fiddles.
Mm-hmm.
But you can vote, and so can your colleagues on a bug.
Well, and if you have support through a company like Bywater, talk to them. I mean, our developers will look at bugs that they know impact our partners. They'll look at other bugs too. They're out there fixing stuff. But if you're paying somebody for support, that's part of what you're paying them for. Like, hassle them, hassle us to fix your bug. Okay, my sandbox is ready, so I'm gonna log in. And I'm going to go to my system preferences, specifically finds mode. And it says, all right, this calculates finds while the cron job is running. I filed a bug because that's kind of misleading. It makes it sound like you only need finds mode set to calculate if you are running the finds cron. You really need this set to calculate if you want to charge finds at all. Setting this to don't calculate means my system doesn't do finds, period. So that confused some people. I had a couple libraries accidentally go find free because they read that text and sort of took it to mean what it said rather than what it meant. So, like I said, this is an easy bug. Step one is we look at this and say, oh yeah, it does say that. That's not what we want it to say. So then we come back and apply this patch 24475. Patches 24475. And while provisioning takes a few minutes, putting on a patch is pretty quick. There it is done. Can close that tab, and I am going to come over here and look at the Git log. Uh-oh. I don't think my patch is on there. Yeah, it's not. So,
Ooh, intrigue.
it's a good thing to know. It's not going to move this bug forward. Well, that's not true. It's going to move it forward, just not to signed off. Because I'm going to come back here.
Right direction.
I'm going to say, failed QA, patch doesn't apply. Which is sad, but David will come back and fix it. So what that probably means is that sometime between when David wrote his most recent patch on here and now, something else changed in Koha, and that's sort of the nature of the thing. So for some reason, David's patch doesn't work anymore. And it'll probably be a quick fix for him, so I'll probably be back here looking at this again before too long. The other day I had the Price is Right sad trombone music all like queued up for something. Oh, I was trying to figure out how to make it go as an audio alert in Koha. Now I'm sad I don't have it. I could play the sad trombone music because our patch is
Andrew, you reported this bug, so you're already CC'd on it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you didn't report this bug and you wanted to know where it was going from here, you may want to, as a user, CC yourself to a bug. So
Yep.
you see when it do happen.
So Owen just said in our live chat, use the patch doesn't apply status.
Oh, yeah. See, I forget their other statuses.
Yeah.
And again, if Owen hadn't been here to tell us this right now, Owen or somebody else would have either just changed the status or told us to. Oh, yep, here we go. Patch doesn't apply. Thanks, Owen.
Thanks, Owen.
Yeah, and as Kelly said, CCing yourself on a bug is a great way to sort of keep abreast of it. If you comment on a bug, you will automatically get added to the CC list. You can also come up here, click edit, and add yourself to that list there. Kelly also mentioned voting.
Which Owen said doesn't matter.
Yeah, I don't know if people look at it a ton.
Well, I say let's bring it back. Let's make it work.
And really, yeah,
Yeah.
if it doesn't matter, it's only because people have gotten out of the habit of doing it and looking for it.
Right.
The vote button is right here.
Let's revolt.
I voted for some other stuff. I could vote for this.
I voted for a lot of things.
Ditto.
I mean,
Okay, well, that bug was a bummer, but failing
Hey.
QA is progress. It moves us toward getting it fixed.
Nice job, Andrew.
great.
Thanks. All right, I'm going to start setting up the other bug I wanted to look at, which is going to require me to put some holds on things. So I'll bounce this over to Kelly.
Okay, well, while Jesse was creating one, I created another one. Again, this is just a neat sign off bug. It's 24480. This bug also deals with mark modification templates, which is what Jesse had in the first one, where you can add more subfields to a specific mark field. And the bug was that regardless of the subfield you added during mark modification template, it would always add it to the bottom. And we know catalogers want the subfields to actually show in order versus how they were added. I mean, catalogers will revolt. I really feel that way. So, which one's mine? This one, mark modification. My test plan to first create a mark modification template, which adds a new field to a record. So, modification templates. Okay, I've created a mark modification and a new field. Then I have to apply that template to some records. So that would be using batch record modification. I forgot we had such an easy database that we could just do simple bib records.
Yeah.
Who would have ever thought that that was possible? In most systems, it's not. So probably you don't have a bib number one. You might. It might be fun to see if you do. Not many people probably do have a bib number one. I use the 245 because there's a lot of subfields in that generally. So let's see what happens. Here are my. I'm gonna open one and just see what it looks like and see what's there. Oh, 245, there it is. So it should go, actually, I'm gonna add another field to see if it goes to the bottom, because really, truly, what the test is, I don't want it to go to the bottom, but since it is a C, it would go to the bottom, correct? So maybe I want to add another one because I want it to go in where it's supposed to go. So I'm gonna add a 245H. To really, truly test this. Okay, now I'm gonna go back. So this says, do you want to go ahead and modify it? Now I wonder if I modified it as it was sitting in my record modification, if it truly will modify it, but I'm sure it will. So let's go ahead and refresh this. Okay. So it did not go to the bottom. It kept my H at the bottom and it put it where it should be in the middle. So there's my C, 245C. So I know that when I used the batch modification, it did actually put it in the order it was supposed to be in, which is really what the last step is. Verify the added field is now ordered within the already existing fields in the record. So it works.
Nice job, Kelly.
Truly, truly a good feeling. So all I have to do is come back here, find the one I had. Sign off. I looked at 1911 release notes, and there were 367 bug fixes. There are 367 bug fixes coming in 1911. So a lot of fixes happen throughout the year, or actually half the year. Think about it that way. Okay, so Should I look at the git log now, Andrew? I don't know what to look for though. Will you look for?
Sure, yeah.
So there is my bug.
Mm-hmm.
There should be 2 patches.
And there's the unit test patch and then the fix insert field patch.
Yeah, okay, perfect.
And actually, that's worth looking at quickly. One of the things that the sandbox asks you when you sign off on things is how many patches you're signing off on, which is not immediately apparent on Bugzilla, but is pretty clear. If you look at your bug, yeah, in that area of attachments, it'll tell you how many patches there are.
Those both say patches, so I counted 2, and that's what I said. I signed off on both patches.
Yeah, if somebody has included like a screenshot or something in their bug report, that will also be listed there, but it won't be labeled as a patch. It'll say attachment or something else.
Perfect. So I can go and edit this. Signed off. Oh. Oh, I don't know if I signed it off first. It happens if I do it like if it's doing it at the same time. So you do get this mid-air collision. I didn't break anything.
Yeah, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
It's just that it was still saying I signed off on it at the same time I tried to change something. So it's fine. I don't know what I'm supposed to choose, so I always just say go with it, and it works after that. So now the status is signed off, and my name will be at the bottom, which I didn't even write my last name.
We ready to see someone really fumble their way through this?
Let's do it.
All right. So I've only ever signed up on one bug before, and that was with the support of y'all before anyway. So let's see what we can do.
Let's do it, Donna.
And share. This is one that actually I'm really interested in because we have a lot of partners asking about this with letting, with the guarantor guarantee relationships. We have, the guarantor that they're blocked if their guarantees owe more than money. But if you have 2 siblings, the other sibling can still check out. And so that's the behavior that libraries want to stop, is like if that entire family's blocked, we want that entire family to be blocked. So we're going to go ahead and try this and see how it goes. So I went ahead and provisioned my sandbox, and this is bug 19382. So let's see how we do with this. Okay. So the first thing that I needed to go ahead and do is go into system preferences and set up the system preference for that, which I have immediately taken a blank on what that was. There it is. And the test plan says $14. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that 14 in there and save that preference. Okay. And then I need to go ahead and create some patrons. So who should we do as far as the patrons? Any exciting names anybody has? No.
Let's just go with Henry. Oh, you're making a new patron.
Making a new patron, okay. So we're going to call this is going to be the avocado family. And dad is going to be called Haas.
What is Haas?
Type of avocado.
Or a character from a Western TV show that I do not remember the name of at this point.
That's Hoss, Hoss.
Yes, that's what I thought you meant originally, which I was excited about because it's your old name.
Sorry. Okay, so I've got his information in there. So there is Hass, avocado. All right, I'm going to go ahead and add guarantee. And this is going to be avocado, and this is going to be guac. And we're going to go ahead and now I do have to admit, this is the first time I've done this with these new settings in here. So if this is the wife, where am I attaching them?
Search.
Looking at Kelly. Under which one? Here?
No, are they an existing Koha patron?
Yes.
They're search to add, right?
It would still be through here. Okay.
The non-Koha patrons would be in the other field.
Y'all, I need to interject that my wife, who is inexplicably watching this stream from downstairs, has informed me that that was Haas Cartwright from Bonanza.
Nice. Okay, so we have them, and then for relationship, we'll just leave father there. Okay, so we have mom, and her card number is going to be Guac, and she is going to be, we're going to save that one. Okay, so we've got Guac, we've got Haas. So now I need to add 2 children. This one's going to be called Toast. So I am curious that the patron information is not coming up in here, even though we are adding that guarantee. Do we think that's another bug?
Not showing up.
Because it's not, I'm having to find it each time, even though I'm working off of that patron's records.
So you added a child from that guarantee?
Yeah. And I still had to search for that patron. That may be another issue, but.
It does seem like a reasonable bug.
That wasn't the prior workflow at all, Donna. You're correct to say that's changed. So it could be a bug. We're going to sign off on a bug to create a new bug.
Okay.
Sometimes that's what happens.
Sometimes that works.
I'm on Haas, who's the dad, so I'm going to add another guarantee, another child. And this one is going to be avocado. We're going to call this one jalapeno. I can spell. There we go. Yeah, I have to pull Haas up every time. That's interesting. Okay.
Wow. That's not good.
Okay. All right, father, and this is jalapeno. Okay. All right, so according to the test plan, I went ahead and created the avocado family, all associated. Okay. So let's see what was my next step in that test plan. Set no issues to guarantors to 14, create a family of 4. Where both parents guarantee both the children. I don't think I've done that right, have I?
What's this?
You made 1 parent and 3 children?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of making me hungry anyways.
Yeah, if you just make a new parent, you should be able to go through the children and add parents.
All right, so let's do a new parent, new patron, and avocado, and this one is going to be Florida, because we do have Florida avocados, which are distinctly different from Haas avocados.
Much bigger.
How are they different? Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're huge.
They're huge, yeah.
And they're smooth skinned as opposed to the bumpy skin.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a different taste that I'm not particularly fond of.
Donna, I do like the Florida avocados with tomatoes, like just taking a big chunk of it and putting it on top of a tomato. It's actually really good.
Okay. Okay, so now I need to go back and find my other avocados and add them, right? All right, so I have found jalapeno. I'm gonna edit jalapeno. And I'm going to add Florida. There we go. Oops, no, I don't want another one. Let me just save that. All right, so jalapeno. And then let's find the other jalapeno. Okay, so we've got both of those attached there. Okay. What was the other child's name? That was Toast, wasn't it? Okay. And we'll add. So I guess it's not really a bug. I mean, I guess we could argue that as to whether that's a bug. It is a different workflow, like Kelly said. But I'm not sure if it's actually a bug because this does have the ability to do two.
I feel like it's extra work.
Especially when you're creating it from when you're doing that guarantee sort of thing. Yeah, that seems like that should, yeah.
Well, and if prior to the 1911 patch that made you able to have two guarantors, or more than one guarantor, if prior to that, clicking add child created the child record with that guarantor already connected, and now it's not doing that, I mean, that is a bug. That's definitely, it's a regression. Something, it used to do this, now it doesn't do that anymore.
I'm getting a little off topic though. Wouldn't you expect to see the second guarantor somewhere here also?
Now that I would call an enhancement.
Right.
Koha has never done that before, but it sounds handy and worth filing a bug for to say, hey, could you also link me to any guarantors that share this guarantee?
Right.
That'd be handy.
That'd be kind of cool. Okay.
A lot of names that could be on people's accounts.
That is true. That is absolutely true. Okay, so then my next step is I'm supposed to add $5 fines to 3 of my 4 family members. So I'm going to pull up avocado toast, and we are going to create a manual invoice, and that's going to be a manual fee for $5. And I'm tired of being clever, so we're just going to do $5 fees. And we're going to do avocado. Haas has been misbehaving too, so he's also going to get a $5 manual fee. And then we're also going to look for one of the other children, jalapeno. We're going to give jalapeno a $5 fee. I gotta say, after all this, it had better work.
Hey, there is some bugs that have a ton of setup to test it. So some are not as quick and dirty.
Okay, so we have 3 of the avocado family with $5 fines, which makes a grand total of $15 in fines. The no issues is set at 14. So now what I need to do is I need to find a book to check out to someone who is, to someone who is not, who does not have a fine on there, and see if it blocks it. Oh, that's a reference book. Well, maybe that'll check out. Let's see. All right, so it was Florida, I think, who was cleared. So that didn't work, did it? What did I do wrong, y'all?
Let's go back to the test plan. Well, this one didn't have a fine. Did they?
Yeah, 3 of the 4 have fines on them.
Does Florida have a fine?
No, she was the only one that was clear. So if we look at Toast, they have a $5 fine. Haas has a $5 fine. And jalapeno has a $5 fine. So let's see if I can check out to guac. Find another book. Okay, guac, who is clear. Okay, so interesting that it blocked the other sibling, but it did not block the parent.
Is there a system preference for blocking guarantors and guarantees for fines? I can't remember what it says, but I believe there is a system preference that will talk about blocking fines.
Oh, okay, so that's interesting. There's 2 of them, and I had only marked one of them.
Yep, there we go.
I think I typed in guarantor. So, okay, so they both need to be filled in then. So in that case, let's look at the test plan and see.
Not say both of those. And that's a problem.
It says no issues to guarantors with guarantees. And that is the one that I had set.
Okay.
So the issues charge guarantees also needs to be set. We're thinking. Let's try to see.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so let me find another book then for Florida to check out because she is not blocked. Okay. I'll try this one. Grab the barcode. And we're going to go find Florida and check out to her.
Okay. Oh, $10.
Interesting. So it's not pulling Haas's in.
Because they're connected.
Well, we have it set at 14. It's blocking them at 10. So it is counting that. So this is a really good one then, because it's kind of working, but it's not giving us exactly the right information. So what do we do with this then?
I would say what happens. Like I would say, this is what I'm finding. Is this the proper behavior?
Okay, so let me go ahead and add the comment. And I would say both. Let me copy this one. And anybody remember the other one?
Oh,
Go back real quick.
Just for clarity's sake, I might suggest that you split these into 2 separate comments.
Okay.
Maybe make one comment that is, this is my updated testing plan, adjusted to include both system preferences you need to hit. So that you still have a really nice, clear checklist for anybody else who comes along to try to sign off. And then make a second comment that explains the behavior you saw and ask your question about that.
No, I didn't want to search Google. Copy. There we go. Okay. So then let me go ahead and just say updated testing plan. Paste that in there and say apply this patch. And actually, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and do 3. Set, what did we call that one? No issues, charges, no issues, charge guarantees to $14. I'm going to do 4, 5, and 6. Okay, apply this patch, set no issues, previous 4. Okay, save those changes. All right, and I'm going to go back and add another comment. that says, I'm checking out to patron the parent. The total that shows is the total fine amount for the guarantees does not include the other guarantor dollar amount. For example, child 1 owes $5, child 2 owes $5, parent 1 owes $5. When parent 2 checks out, message states $10 owed by guarantees. When child 3, no fines, checks out, message states, oh, I don't think any of us wrote that down, did it? But it did say 14? No.
Oh, I think it's a 10.
It's at 15.
10.
Right, but that was the other one. So I can't keep up with my brain. Come on. The patrons, guarantors, and their other guarantees collect 15. Okay. All right. So so the total is included when one of the other guarantees checks out, but the whole total is not included when one of the other guarantors checks out. It's only looking at the guarantees. Does that make sense to people the way I've written that, or what do I need to change?
When checking out to the parent, the total. I think it makes sense.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So I will go ahead and just save my changes.
So do we have to change the status of like in discussion? No, we leave it at still need sign off.
I think if you're just commenting on the work itself, I think you just keep it as need sign off, and that person will be notified that a comment's been made.
Because we still can't really sign off on this because it's not really working as
Yeah.
I mean, it is working, but there's some things that still need fixed with it.
Mm-hmm.
I would set it to failed QA. If you feel that it does not do what it's supposed to do. And that's a little debatable because you could maybe argue that this one does what the developer intended it to do, and your quibble is more about the premise of the patch. But if
So
you
what
say
I'm
failed
gonna do-
QA and go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I'm going to look at it from the perspective of if one of our partners comes to us and says, this is the behavior, I would not sign off on that because that is incorrect behavior. So I think I'm going to leave it. I could mark it as failed QA, but I don't think I'm going to. I think I'm going to leave it as need sign off because it's technically working. It's just not completely showing what I expect it to. Andrew, what would you do? Would you mark it as failed QA?
I would mark it as failed QA. It's easy enough for the developer to come back and say, yeah, that's not the scope of this. I'm setting it back to need sign off.
Okay.
If you leave it at need sign off, maybe somebody else comes along and tests it and says, this does what it says it should do. And then it moves forward. And that's okay. Not quite your ideal.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. So yay.
Yay.
A bug. It didn't work, but it's getting there. Oh, Lucas is in the house. How long has he been here?
A while.
Got to witness the whole thing, Donna.
So Lucas is probably sitting there laughing at me, going, this is why things go so wrong when Donna touches stuff.
No.
I don't know. He turned his video off.
I know.
That's why.
Hey, Lucas.
I was not doing that. Hello, everyone.
So Lizette said in chat that she would probably make it failed QA because it wasn't working completely, and Owen agreed. So good decision.
Excellent.
Okay.
So who's next?
I've got one ready to go.
Okay. Let's
All
do
right.
it.
So this is bug 24514. Holds awaiting pickup, sorting by title before surname. So this one did take a little bit of setup. I had to create some patrons, place some holds, capture those holds, and back up. I also had to make sure that my circ rules allowed the holes I wanted to place. That is a place where I get stuck sometimes on sandboxes. It's just sort of thinking back through what are all the settings I need in place for this to work. But all that said, I made all my holds for my patrons. I checked them in. Here's my holds awaiting pickup. And if you look at those names, you can see I'm sorting by name ascending. And it's weirdly putting everybody who has a title before everybody who doesn't have a title. So that's not great. But we've already got a patch written for that. I don't have it applied yet. So this is the not expected behavior. I'm going to go back to my sandbox. Two, 4, 5, 1, 4. And do a little dance. And reload the page. Okay. Check my git log. 24514. Okay. And it was just one patch on this one, so that's all I expected to see there. Going back to my bug briefly, you'll notice that this one doesn't have a test plan for how to verify that the patch has worked. I wrote a pretty extensive test plan in my just original bug of this is how you see the error. You know, I filed this one, so I know what I'm looking for. That said, if you came upon a patch and you wanted to test it and there was not a test plan, do feel free to make a comment there to say, hey, developer, please give me a test plan. Like that's a very reasonable ask if it's not clear what you need to do to get in and make sure that this thing works.
Sometimes we're lazy. I'm sorry.
Not into.
Nicholas in the house.
And you know, I will probably, when I sign this off, copy this test plan in and make another test plan because someone's going to want to sign off in addition to me. So I may as well make their work easier. But anyway, I've got my patch on here. Come back here. Oh, just to be thorough, I'm going to restart all this stuff. This is not like strictly necessary for every patch in the world, but I think Lizette told me to do it, so I do it. Always restart the things. So just restart.
It never hurts.
Yeah.
I think Nick had a guilty conscience that you were talking directly at him, Andrew, but I think you were saying a general, right?
Generally, developers as a whole don't always put in test plans.
But
I don't have any sense of who's more or less likely to do so.
we'll always be happy to provide one if asked for it. Especially if the test is unclear.
Reload. Here. Problem solved. We're sorting as we should. Now, this became extra confusing because I intentionally gave them the same names. You can see the barcode numbers. But yeah, it's sorting just on name now. It's ignoring title there. So, cool. It works. So I'll come back here. I will mark this. Sign off. One patch. Koha. Let it spin its little thing here. Reload the page. maybe don't want to reload that. That might make it cranky. Let's look here. Okay, it did the thing. It did the thing twice even, because I reloaded the page. And I am going to make a comment on here. Apply patch. Reload. Holds awaiting pickup. Ah. All right. And then we will say signed off.
Good
And
job,
that's
Andrew.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
I think that was all of my personal patches that, or personal bugs that needed sign off. I gotta go think about other ones now.
Sure, Lucas has something he wants to sign off. Oh, he left. I think he said he'll be right back.
What about Nick? We have Nick here now.
Nick, he writes all the bugs.
Yeah, sign off all of mine. All of mine. Those are the ones.
Nick, show us how to do a search in Bugzilla for patches by Nick that need sign off.
Oh, seriously? Okay.
We'll find a good one.
See, I can usually just share my screen. So if I go to search, and I will admit, I usually do this if I'm searching for someone's patches to sign off, when I signed off on patches. Owen Leonard, that man writes some good patches that are easy to test. It is a good place to get started. So I will actually demonstrate with Owen because that's more fair. So what I'm going to do is go down here to search by people. I want the bug assignee to contain Owen. And now if I'm signed into Bugzilla, which of course you are because you all have accounts, it'll bring up an autocomplete form and I can select, oh, Leonard. And then I'm just going to go up here to status and select need sign off. And that should be all that I need to do. If I hit search, there we go. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 patches by Owen that we can sign off on. Generally, I don't sign off on patches because I'm supposed to QA the patches instead of signing off on them. So if one of you wants to demonstrate signing off on them, that would work. And then I can try to QA one of them and move them along. I've just been trying to fix my failed QA. But just to show you too, since I'm talking now, don't ever give me the mic, people. I can search for my own bugs. And look, I've got 21. That's 21 bugs you can go sign off on that will all make me just so happy.
Is there one in particular that you would like us to do, Nick? What's your favorite?
Favorite? I mean, the browse interface. That's a nice one. That's that requires some setting up Elasticsearch, which is not natively happening on the sandboxes right now. We're working on it.
Ooh, what about
hold waiting reminder notices? No, that one requires command line access.
Baker Taylor images broken on OPAC lists? How hard?
Not get signed up? Oh no, this one actually. Well, this requires a library to have Baker and Taylor to really test it. But essentially, we sort of had. It looked like the code was supposed to be showing Baker and Taylor on lists, but there actually wasn't enough code there. So.
Oh, I contacted somebody who had a Baker and Taylor account, and I signed off on it. Sorry, this is what happens when you forget a step. It sits in Nick's queue.
This is why Bug Squashing Day is important. Right.
Shout out to the library I contacted for their Baker and Taylor information because they gave it to me and I signed off on it.
That's SIP. That's not easy to test.
a
Prohibit double
lot of
submit when adding to a basket. That's a fun bug.
Oh
You
no!
get to click all sorts of times.
Let's click.
Heather Hernandez mentioned in chat that she wants to see Nick's bug 17268 move forward so much. Pretty pleased with the sugar and whipped cream and cherry on top.
And it's not in this list, which means that I have to do that work. We should go look at that. 17628.
17268.
268. Okay. Oh, yes. Yeah, so that I had written the API endpoints and then asked Tomas for feedback, and Tomas's feedback was, yes, go forth and code. And so that is the phase that we are at right now. Somebody I did see asked, did you already talk about votes, Kelly? You asked me and I saw it was in the chat.
Well, because somebody in chat said that votes don't count, and I wanted to verify that maybe they did, and you said they don't.
Well, they don't do anything per se, but the reason that we added them is because I believe, let's see if I can make this happen. So many. Okay, let's go to dashboard, koha.org. You can see all the articles that come up for me because I like to read terrible articles. Let's go to need sign off. And I believe that what we can do is, so this is the standard view when you come in from here. If I go down all the way to the bottom, don't get seasick, everybody. I can change the columns and I can add votes into the columns that I want displayed. Okay, so now what I can actually do is this just allows me to sort by votes. So this is really a tool for either developers who are working on things or QA people. We can utilize this to see kind of what has gotten the most votes from the community. So while people aren't in the habit of using it right now, if you keep voting on things and everybody votes on things and remind us that the things have a lot of votes, it's a good way to get traction, or at least to show support. We don't have another real way to see that how many libraries are interested or doing things like that from the search. So votes is really kind of the one mechanism that we can use on Bugzilla. So really think of it as just a new feature that we haven't really made popular, pushed, announced, supported, encouraged people to use, adopted. Pick one of those words and use that.
So you've heard it here. Vote your heart out.
Yes.
Vote your heart out. So, November, whatever comes around, think about voting in Koha as well. Vote any day you want.
All right, Kyle's going to be joining us, so I'm going to let him talk for a while. Or one of you.
All right. We have tons of people commenting in the chat. Heather Hernandez said she is voting. Voting is cool. Don't you want to be cool? Thank you, Heather. Hi, Kyle.
Howdy.
We have just been, I think we went through 4 bugs that we've either signed off or commented on or failed.
Nice.
And so Nick just did some talking about ways to search and look for patches in Bugzilla. So now we're just waiting for you to also share some of your expertise for being in the community for so long, or giving some helpful hints to all of our wonderful viewers out there.
I don't know what to speak about.
Have you guys talked about other ways to help other than signing off?
This is Global Bug Squashing Day, so that's what our...
Yes, but signing off is not the only way to fix a bug. Let me share my screen again. I'm going to go back. I should end up there eventually. I could have just typed it. It would have been faster. But anyway, the dashboard. Need sign off? Not the only bug statuses that we have set up links to. The one that librarians can easily help with, you don't need a sandbox, you don't need a dev environment, you only need to know about your library and what you want, and that's in discussion.
We love these.
A lot of these in discussion bugs have been here for quite a while. I will admit it's probably the status that makes developers the most sad. And that's only because it can be hard to get discussion started on these. So this is a great way. It's real low-hanging fruit. It just needs you to come and kind of give your opinion on it. Now, some of these are going to be fairly technical, and you may want to ignore those. But if you look for ones that you can find, like hold notes should allow for HTML tags. Seems pretty simple, and Koha HTML tags should be allowed in hold notes. Right now, I believe the problem is that we display them literally. If you try to put in a link to YOLO. And let's see, you'll have to read through. Patrons can enter these notes just, okay. So that's why it's not this way. It's in discussion because patrons can enter these notes, and so that could technically allow for XSS attacks. But if this feature is really important to you, this is a good place to come and just say, like, I do think we need to find a solution to this, like move it along. Comments, even just to say that it's important to your library, do get the attention of everyone who is CC'd on the bug, so that will help move things along. If we can find a good one that requires some library input.
Nick, how does it come out of in discussion? Who decides that it moves out of it?
It can happen several ways. One is, for there to be a discussion that concludes, and sort of whoever comes to the bug and just says, like, I think it should be this way, I think most people agree, they can move it out of discussion. The developer themselves can move it out of discussion. Sometimes we'll put something there and we'll say, hey, you need to send something to the mailing list. And then we'll do that. We'll send it out onto the Koha listservs and say, hey, does anyone have an opinion? If we get opinions back or don't, then we usually will come back to the bug and say, moving out of discussion, and either relate the opinions that we got or say, nobody seemed to have an opinion about this, so we should just move it along. One or the other.
So what if I think it's an absolutely horrible idea?
Not
that any of yours ever would be.
Oh, I've had some stinkers. But you should comment on the bug that you think it's really bad. You could also, depending on how strongly you feel and how confident you are that others agree with you, you can move it to another status like failed QA or invalid. If you've put a bug out there that, was filed mistakenly and it turned out it's already fixed or something, you can make it resolve. So you are allowed to do most of these things. General rules of politeness apply. So think of it as actually being in a discussion with people. Like if you walked into a room and a bunch of people were having a discussion and you didn't like where they were going, you probably wouldn't throw a pie in somebody's face. But you might say, like, hey, let's talk differently.
So would you, I know I'm leading you with this question, but
Yeah.
I'm turning to it's okay. So would you say that it's a good thing to hear differing opinions on functionalities that have been created by devs?
Yes. And well, I am a developer and I do get sensitive to issues of scope creep. So that is one where I think you should realize sometimes if you're asking for something more than what the bug is doing, that may be the time when you want to file a new bug. However, if the bug is changing your workflow and is actually going to like damage something that you do, that's where you might want to put it in discussion and say, like, hey, this is how we use Koha. This is important to us. Please consider before changing. And again, that doesn't necessarily mean that it shouldn't be changed or we can't change it, but we should at least get your opinion. And it's usually easier if we know before we write a development what the opinions are than after.
I have a bug. I want to squash it.
Squash.
I decided it would be fun to look and see what the oldest bug currently and needs sign-off is.
No.
So this might be a terrible idea. Let's see how it goes.
Only one way to find out.
Bug 4461.
I mean, we've got the people with us that if it's a problem.
This is an enhancement, actually, that was requested back in 2010.
Wow.
We weren't even alive then.
Who was around in 2010? Was Kyle?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Owen was.
There's Owen.
Anyway, this is an enhancement request to add a feature to the OPAC to allow patrons to click a link and report a problem with the OPAC, which sounds pretty cool. Because this is an enhancement rather than a bug fix, I went ahead and applied the patch right away. It's not like we need to confirm any original behavior. The original behavior is this doesn't exist at all. So I'm going to move this over to my other window because it's kind of a long test plan. And step 1 of the test plan is apply patch, update database, rebuild schema. We did that. We also restarted Koha Common and Memcached. So we should be ready to go. Next step is confirm that your user has an email address. So let's just grab the patron, our friend Henry. And we're going to edit him. Email. Super cromulent email address. And I think I am going to need to log in as him ultimately. Oh no, strong passwords. I hate strong passwords.
You mean you love strong passwords because they keep our users safe?
Oh, I love the concept of strong passwords.
Just saying.
Password managers, they are important.
Okay. Step 4, confirm that your library does not have an email address. Okay.
Say so.
I got no email addresses. Confirm that your syspref Koha admin email address is not filled. I do always kind of enjoy the bugs that require a lot of assumption of systems that aren't set up ideally. I feel a little bad when I file them sometimes. Like, this really shouldn't ever happen, but if it does happen, it goes bad in this way. Okay. Next step, log into the OPAC. Come back here, OPAC. Okay. Click the report a problem link at the bottom of whatever page you're on. Well, I'm running into an immediate problem here. I don't see a report a problem link.
Were we supposed to add one?
Wait, did you enable the system preference for the setting for the feature?
The test plan didn't say that there was one, but there very well might be.
There is. It is called OPAC report problem.
So this would be another one where when I sign this off, I'll maybe make a little note to amend the test plan. Allow. Okay, cool. Report a problem. Click the thing. Notice that there are error messages alerting that the library does not have an email address and that the Koha administrator does not have an email address. Both submit buttons will be disabled. And yeah, it's just real cranky. It's not doing exactly what the bug says, but I'm okay with this so far.
I think the patron, that's nice for the patron to be like, you tried and I can't do that.
I'm going to make a note over here on my piece of paper, though. Just to say, yeah, even if I sign this off, I do want to say, okay, it didn't do exactly what your test plan said. I'm okay with what it's doing, but.
And really, how often do libraries not have an email in their system preference or in their library?
Not often.
I mean, it's good to know that the OPAC tells me that it's not going to work when it's not going to work.
If I had to hazard a guess, I would say that the test plan was written for like the very first version, and the code has been updated repeatedly over time until the test plan doesn't quite match.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't double check.
For example, I would take a guess that the system preference to enable and disable the feature was added later on. In the very first version, it was just there, and you could not turn it off.
All right, I don't want to add email addresses for all of these libraries because that sounds boring. So I'm going to hit one for Centerville, because that's what I'm logged in as, and then one for Midway, because that's Henry's library. And yeah, I'm putting in like bad, dumb emails. One does wonder if someone out there has the email address a@a.a. Yeah.
You can't go wrong with example.com because it has been reserved as like a non-existent thing.
Yeah, but I like the idea that there's somebody out there somewhere who has this email address and just gets real frustrated every day. Why do I get all these emails?
As an aside, the Sandbox is
very mad with me.
You can use that example.com for whatever and that work. That's not going to send an email to anybody.
It's a reserved domain. Nobody has it registered, and it can't be used.
That's really cool.
Okay, so
learned. Wait, I just want to say as an aside, the Sandboxes are not going to send any emails.
yeah,
Nobody should worry about that. The Sandboxes, even if you put your own email address, not going to send you an email. Somebody might come steal your email if you put your email address in there, so not a good idea.
as the Sandboxes helpfully tell us over and over again, those passwords aren't secure. Those passwords that they just tell you on the page. Okay, so I was at step 9, add an email address for your library. I did that. It does say you may have to restart memcached again. Yeah, we'll restart it just to be thorough. And then step 10 is add an email address for the Syspref Koha admin email address. We did that. And because it told me I might need to, and again, never hurts, I'll come back here and restart all this stuff. Okay. And then first, try submitting a problem to the library. Okay, so we're gonna do that again. Oh. Do I want to send my problem to a librarian or the Koha administrator? A librarian. I like this. It says I found a problem on this page. I found a problem with the report a problem page. That's me. Orkin. Confirm that the fields for problem found on page and username are correct, which they are. Cool. And then fill out subject and message. Fix it. Fix. Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh, we were so close.
Find source. What if you go back to the Sandbox Manager and do the rebuild schema button?
Oh, yeah. Oh, right, because that is not included in just restarting.
Refresh schema, yes.
It told me to do that in the test plan and I didn't do it.
All right. That's a different problem we found and we don't have a fix for. But I can go in and do that by hand right now. This is
wait.
a bug.
Well, oh, this was, I see. I'm so used to not reading this text. Okay, Kyle's gonna refresh the schema for us. And this is the sort of stuff that you should feel free to ask us to do. If you're trying to fix a bug and it needs the schema restarted and you're getting an error on the Sandbox, let us know. That would be exactly the sort of thing that's really great to use Slack for if you're in the Bywater Partners Slack channel. Because you'll see how long it takes Kyle to do this. It's not long. Like it might seem like less than you want to open a ticket for, but totally within the scope of what we're happy to do for you.
Or even faster, just let us know in the partners channel for Slack.
Yes. That's where my sentence started. Hi, Joy.
Hi, Joy.
I like your hat, Donna. I don't know, what are we calling that?
Okay, why didn't the thing I just did do the thing I thought it would? Oh, I see. I missed a thing. So many things. So little time.
All right, I'm peeking ahead in my test plan while Kyle does that.
Good plan.
To reports.
Oh, okay.
Whoa, no.
All right.
This really is full of suspense as people are just watching in our chat channel. People are loving it.
Well, while we vamp,
I'm running out of.
I'm aware of myself. Like, it becomes really obvious to tell where Andrew's been testing things because you'll have a bunch of searches for Batman and a bunch of things called boop.
Or doing some CSS while we're camping.
And password.
But if nothing else, this should teach anyone who's watching that it's okay to not be fluent and graceful as you're going through these. There's a lot of clunkiness as you're stopping and starting, so don't ever worry about that.
No, it's inherently a sort of gray area.
All right. Got one more thing to try before I run out of ideas. It's going to work.
I believe in you, Kyle. You can do this.
Thank you. I'm scared of my passwords. They have all kinds of weird characters in them, and I don't know if Bash is going to like that.
My cat went away, so she's not here to entertain us anymore. I was gonna just pick her up and waggle her in front of the camera. Was done. She left.
All right.
I'm getting ignored.
It does not like my password at all because it has exclamation marks in it. It's like trying to like call a program with that. And I'm like, how do I
drawing passwords? They're bad. You wouldn't have this problem if your password was just 3 undercase or lowercase letters.
I mean, you're not wrong.
No, he kind of is. Yeah, strong passwords are good things. It's what you use in them that's the problem.
All right. User. Okay. Almost. Let's see.
So this is so much fun. Why are we only doing this once a year?
Maybe we should do it all the time, Donna. People are loving it. We have Heather's being a cheerleader over in channel for Kyle. She's shaking her pom-poms.
Thanks, Heather.
All right.
We could just work on YouTube Live all day, every day.
That would be mostly boring, punctuated with wild bouts of profanity.
We need an intern with a bleep button.
Well, I mean, that's one of the things that our partners can kind of give us some feedback on. If they'd like to see this more often, and I know I'm putting Jay-Z on the spot here because she's the one that has to do this. We could even do this quarterly. I mean, I don't think any of us would object to it.
Yeah, we love it.
I'm getting a sad here. It won't let me in. The database is
What
not
Kyle
happy with it.
continues to fight. To digress a little bit, the issue we're running into here is a sandbox issue.
Yes.
The testing requires us to do a thing that the sandboxes don't know how to do, which the sandboxes are sort of a compromise of sorts to make it really easy to spin up a test site to test a bug. But there are patches you'll run into where the sandbox can't do the testing that needs to be done for a reason like this, or because you need command line access. So if you wanted to go a step further and set yourself up with a dev box and like really get into it, that would be what you would need to test every patch in the world. And even then there'd be more tools you needed for some. That's a bigger ask, which is why we tend to focus on the sandbox, which will let you test most of the patches out there. And yeah, again, it's just like a simpler place to start if you don't want to dig all the way into installing your own test instance of Koha and I don't know, getting all in there.
I have a question. How can I install my own testing environment then on my own computer? Do you have resources for me?
We're actually working on it.
Oh, great. So that information is forthcoming.
We're gonna make a video and have step-by-step instructions. So if people would like to install one on their computer, we'll have a short little tutorial video, and on our blog, we'll have instructions on the code you need and the steps to do it.
Having just done that myself within the past week, I would say it's harder than spinning up a sandbox, but easier than putting together the most complicated piece of furniture you ever bought from IKEA.
Apt analogy.
That is a fantastic analogy.
But yeah, sort of similar level of I'm going to follow these instructions, and then there will be some parts where it's a little less clear and you have to kind of take your best guess about where this tab goes, which thing gets glued to which thing. But as that came out of my mouth, if I'm gluing things together, that might be my whole IKEA problem right there. It's supposed to involve glue.
Since I'm late to the party, let me ask y'all, do you have a list of bugs that y'all are working from? That y'all are trying to squash? While we watch Kyle over there have epiphany after epiphany. What list are y'all working from? I'm just curious.
We have a Trello board that we created, and then we're also working off the dashboard.koha-community.org for things that need sign off.
All right.
Okay, Kyle, official opinion. Should we continue to watch you or should we move on?
I mean, you can move on till I got this fixed. I'm close.
Well, why doesn't somebody else grab the screen and move a bug, and we'll come back to this one?
So Kelly, it looks like you have one spun up and ready to go.
Oh,
Don't you?
sure.
Fines? Because I don't have another one spun up yet.
Donna, that's convenience.
I know.
I have one too. So I don't. Kelly, you can go or I can go. I don't care.
No, I haven't even looked at the one I spun up. I just grabbed it, and I'll look at it, I promise.
Okay, so I have one of Lucas's that he sent when he came in for rotating collections. It is bug 24390, and it's add item total to rotating collections. And so let's see, part of the step plan was to set up a rotating collections and add some items to it. So that's the only thing I've done so far. So I came into tools and down to rotating collections. I called it Stuff and More Stuff, and I added 2 items to it. So step 2 in the test plan says that there is no good way to see how many total items are in the given collection. Ours is tiny, we only have 2 in there, but if you had like 50 in there, there is nothing that we see. So the next step is to apply the patch. So I'm going to come over to Actions and hit Apply Patch, and I'll type in number 24390.
That's good.
Okay. Do we have to log out and log back in, Kyle? Is that good practice, or should we be okay?
I would choose the restart all the things option from the Sandbox
Okay.
dashboard. When in doubt, restart all the things.
Okay, let's do it. Restart services.
Oh, and I was able to update the schema for Andrew's bug for when
Okay.
we circle back.
All right. Awesome. Okay, let's see if our patch applied correctly. We should be able to go right back into rotating collections, look at Stuff and More Stuff, and see that we have a total items of 2. All right, Lucas, if you're still on here, we can now make sure that it's counting the total number of items correctly. Awesome job. So I will go back.
Do we have a GIF that we can use at this point, which is like somebody squashing something?
We need one. We need one.
So that it goes across the screen. Bug squashed.
How about that scene from Starship Troopers with all the kids stomping on bugs?
Okay. And Owen just asked about Koha DevBox or Koha testing Docker. So we're working on a video and a test, like a step-by-step instructions for the Koha testing Docker. But Lizette just messaged me and said that she has a Google Doc for setting up a Koha DevBox that she will share as well. So
great.
Thank you, Lizette.
All right, I'm stealing the screen again. Kyle updated my schema. I went back to the Sandbox page and restarted all the things. I reloaded my OPAC page, clicked report problem again. All looks good. Your problem report has been sent to the library. Okay, so back to my test plan. The next thing it wanted me to do was come back over here to my staff client and just look to see that that message went into the message queue as expected. This is going to be one of those weird ones that doesn't go to a patron, so it's not going to, it might show up in Henry's notices tab. I wouldn't expect it to, which is why I wrote a report to just pull everything from the message queue. There we go.
Woo woo.
And this is tied to Henry. That's borrower 19. So we would see it over on Henry's account. That's cool. Yeah, problem report. That's my letter code, which apparently the patch put into my system. Hooray. And it tells me there was a problem here. The next thing it wants me to do is go back to the OPAC and report a problem, not to a librarian, but to the Koha administrator. To your librarian. They are bad. Going over their head. And it tells us the problem has been reported to the administrator. And if I reload, this is the address I put in for my library. And this is the address I put in Koha admin email address. So if I say report to a librarian, it goes to the library address. If I say report to administrator, it goes to the administrator address. That makes sense. And then the last couple things it wants me to check are, first, let me copy that real fast. If I log out, while I'm logged out, it still gives me that report a problem link, but we're going to confirm that when I click it, It forces me to log in. That's good.
Okay.
And then once I've done so, it takes me to that form like it was supposed to. And then also, it wanted me to double check that if I come back here, part of the problem, if I turn that off, but some sneaky patron still has that URL and they try to go to it, it gives them a 404 error like it's supposed to say, no, you can't go to this page, which really shouldn't come up, but people bookmark stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So Katrin just asked in our chat does it go to a branch email or a reply to?
All I put in for my libraries was the branch email.
Okay.
So this one. But yeah, that's a fun development. I like that one. I'm gonna sign it off.
I really like that too, and I think it's kind of brings up something that I've, as being someone who's newer to Koha, if I saw something from 2010, I'd be afraid to touch it because I'd be like, oh, there must be something wrong with it if it's been sitting there for 10 years. But that's not necessarily the case, is it? Sometimes things just get overlooked, I'm guessing.
Yeah, well, and this one, it had seen action. Like people had been working on it, within the week. So it was current. It's just, it's a bug that hung around for a while. And the worst thing that happens, if you've got a bug that's literally been sitting and needs sign off for 10 years, test it. It probably won't work. But then you comment and say, like, this needs to get updated. It's still a good idea. It's still a thing we should do. Mm-hmm. That might mean we need to find a new developer. It's possible that whoever wrote the thing 10 years ago is no longer active in Koha.
Sometimes we're just disheartened and we just need encouragement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And cookies.
Okay, we probably have time for one more. Mine's all set up.
All right, let's do it, Kelly.
How many have we done? Have we counted?
Well, I think we did 6 live.
Awesome. Okay, so mine has to do with, mine is bug. Sorry, my screen's all like awkward. 23415. Notify patron fines when renewing. So the purpose of the bug was to, right now, it's possible to renew items for patrons who have fines over that limit. But somebody said it would be nice to be notified as you're renewing that this person is over the limit. So part of my test plan was to, my favorite patron is Edna, so I used Edna. Was to have a patron with checkouts. So I have checkouts and I have fines over the limit. So my no issue charge was $5. I have $7 in fines. And the next step is when we go to renew, we should be getting an alert. So let's try. I wanted to try it when Andrew was doing his, but I thought I'd wait for the suspense. You never know. Okay, so let's try to go ahead and renew this book that I can't read the title. I'm just gonna hit the renew button. There you go. The patron has a debt of $7. Are you sure? So that's all that it said it needed to do was pop up and let us know that, just to verify, are you sure? So easy peasy. Pizzeria.
I think it's one of those little things, but we always joke in the upgrades, it's the little things that make our lives easier. And that one, I think folks are really going to enjoy.
Mm-hmm. I agree, Donna. I agree. And what everyone should know is you just have to say, wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't it help?
All right. We have made it almost 2 hours here of squashing some bugs, talking about the process, ways you can go in and make it easy for you to find things in Bugzilla, searching, and everything in between. And that helpful tip about looking at the bugs that are in discussion. Nick, thank you. That was a great tip. So I just want to thank all of our viewers out there. We had over 20 people at one time streaming and watching live and chatting with us, and all of our faithful people that have stayed in here since the beginning. Thank you so much for your feedback, and we will definitely do these again as a way. So if you want to jump in and share with us bugs that you would like us to do, share that with us, and we'd be happy to do this again. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Happy Global Bug Squashing Day.
Goodbye.
Bye.